Speaking of football, Bill Belichick has just released a statement.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Okay, can I read it live, or can you read it live for me?
Yeah, which do you want?
You read it.
Okay. Quote from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill head coach Bill Belichick.
Mhm.
I agreed to speak with CBS Sunday Morning to promote my new book, The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football. Prior to this interview, I clearly communicated with my publicist at Simon & Schuster that any promotional interviews I participated in would agree to focus solely on the contents of the book. Unfortunately, that expectation was not honored during the interview. I was surprised when unrelated topics were introduced, and I repeatedly expressed to the reporter, Tony Dokapil, and the producers that I preferred to keep the conversation centered on the book. After this occurred several times, Jordon, this is an interesting phrase to me, with whom I share both a personal and professional relationship, stepped in to reiterate that point to help refocus the discussion. She was not deflecting any specific question or topic, but simply doing her job to ensure the interview stayed on track. Some of the clips make it appear as though we were avoiding the question of how we met, but we have been open about the fact Jordon and I met on a flight to Palm Beach in 2021. I could just said that.
Mm-hmm.
The final 8-minute segment does not reflect the productive 35-minute conversation we had which covered a wide range of topics related to my career. Instead, it presents selectively edited clips and stills from just a few minutes of the interview to suggest a false narrative that Jordon was attempting to control the conversation, which is simply not true.
Simply not true. Okay, let me tell you a little bit behind the scenes when it comes to promoting a book, because I have interviewed a lot of people that have been promoting a lot of books in the last, 9 years doing Part of My Take, and we've had some people promoting books on macrodosing as well. When you go on a book tour, you sign up for these interviews, and it's always communicated to you like, we would prefer to just talk about the book. You can't do a 30-minute interview with somebody just talking about what they wrote in the book. It doesn't work like that. So you will talk about the book. If you're lucky, the person doing the interview will have read excerpts from the book that they can bring up and ask for clarification on, or tell us behind the scenes about this chapter in the book, like explain to our viewers why this was such an interesting part of your life, or whatever the case may be. So you will promote the book, but by far the most promotion for a book comes from other things that you talk about in the interview as they're promoting the book. So it does help book sales if you talk about things that aren't necessarily in the book. You can't always just stick to asking about the table of contents. It doesn't work like that. Obviously, if it's a book tour, you never want to get too deep into confrontational topics, because they're doing probably 7 or 8 interviews, and they're probably used to reporters or people doing podcasts that are kind of dancing around some of those sensitive issues a little bit. Maybe they'll ask a question adjacent to it, but they're kind of sick of answering and trying to move on from the same question about, 7 to 10 times over the course of a day. So if you're lucky and you have good rapport with the person, you can ask about some stuff that's like over the lines that maybe they wouldn't necessarily love to talk about. But if you don't have that rapport, then they'll just, shut it down, move on to the next one. This was a little bit different though. When she's in the background, she's just like, move on. We're not answering that. That has only happened to me one time with somebody else in the room. And it's not the norm at all. You can't expect somebody to just talk about what's in the book. That's not going to happen, at least in my experience doing interviews.
My thing is the NFL is littered with media training people who train players to take these questions. Bill Belichick, I know, talks to his players about how to conduct yourself in interviews, and so I find it very hard to believe that you were just bombarded by questions without understanding how to navigate that. And so, I don't know, dog. And plus, you like 60 something, fam. If somebody asks you something that you don't want, you can easily say, "Oh, we're just not gonna answer that right now," in a very diplomatic way. If you wanted to, you don't let your 20-year-old girlfriend say, "We're not answering that." Everything about it is weird, dog.
It's actually 73 for what that's
Holy
worth.
shit, even worse.
Yeah.
If a reporter asks Bill Belichick a question he doesn't want to answer, he usually just says, Seattle.
Yeah, he's known for dodging questions.
Cincinnati.
I forgot about that too. That shit is weird, though. I don't know.
Well, there's also a big difference in Bill's past life that he's had. He has had an adversarial relationship with the media. I would say that's probably a good way to describe it. He never needed the media for anything. Mm-hmm. The media was always a hindrance. It was an obstacle that he had to jump around or jump over. It was something that he had to do. it didn't have any impact in his mind on winning football games, which was his job. That was the ultimate job to do. And so it was like, yeah, the more information we give the media, the more interesting we are. It actually doesn't help us accomplish what we want to accomplish. So let's figure out how to be super boring, very bland in front of them, and then we'll just get on with our day. Now it's kind of flipped where he does need the media for his book tour. He needs to have a good relationship with the media. He needs to be engaging with the media if he wants to sell books. And I don't think he really knows. I don't think he really knew how to do that. He wasn't like super prepared for it.
See, that's where I don't buy. I don't buy that as a 70-some-year-old man that was in the public eye at a very large scale for that long doesn't understand how to have a conversation to make you come off looking like a likable guy if you're trying to sell a book. Like everything about this it's just very awkward to me that I don't understand. Like I don't.
Who do you think wrote the statement?
That's a good question.
What do I think? What?
I mean, from everything I've seen, I'm not convinced who wrote this
No,
statement.
he didn't write that shit.
Well, I know it wasn't him,
no.
but was it UNC's lawyers or was it someone else?
I don't know. There's no telling. What did Maddie? You posted something. She posted on her IG in a group, but it was way too many words. I wasn't going to read that. Give me a spark notes.
So she posted on Instagram to the Taylor Swift song, Look What You Made Me Do. And it was a screenshot of an email that Bill Belichick sent to a couple people that I'm assuming are like, obviously like her and then some, I don't know, behind the scenes people at UNC, whatever. And it basically said something about how he keeps saying I fucked up in the book, which I'm not sure exactly what that's referring to. But he said this is what I expected from the media to kind of like, twist my narrative, and they'll drive the sales from things that aren't about the book necessarily.
You're too old for it. This is slop. You too old for this, though. Like this is how 20-year-olds handle things.
And he said in this email, quote, I am not going to be the conductor of a hype train in the book promotion. We have enough hype to work with. Which I don't really know. Like, it's your book. Don't you want to be kind of on the hype train for your book? But nonetheless, she then said full statement to be released later today. And I believe she also, let me pull it up real quick. She also, it was like a slide. And then if you slid on the email screenshot, the next slide was a screenshot of a 36-minute video.
Yeah.
Of which is a mystery of what it is. But it's a 36-minute video, and this little screenshot is just the ground.
It's
which could be anything. It's
bizarre, but don't blame the media for this. I don't think that this is the media's fault.
No.
Also, as Dave pointed out, this interview wasn't on 60 Minutes. It was on Sunday Morning, which is a very positive, like, kind of a puff piece show.
Yep.
It's hard to get them to, like, out you like that, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that Belichick is having to kind of recalibrate for this tour how he handles interviews. I don't think it's something that he's used to.
You think there are going to be more interviews for this book?
Probably not. He won't conduct the hype train.
I wouldn't imagine so.
I imagine that Bill got a pretty nice advance from the publisher, and you start to make royalties on the book after you meet the sales that correlate with whatever advance you got. I don't think Bill's going to be super motivated to do a whole bunch of press for his tour.
Didn't no, not Skip Bayless. Oh, the other guy. Colin Cowherd said he was impressed by Jordon Hudson.
Listen, it generated a lot of buzz. A lot of buzz about the book. So you can make an argument one way or the other.
He said that she was acting extremely professional.
We have heralded Bill Belichick as a genius for years, right? And it's just perplexing to me how you could parade around with a 20-year-old girlfriend and be surprised when people ask about the 20-year-old girlfriend. Like, how is your self-awareness that's why I don't believe this shit, because I do think he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
This is boggling me, right?
It also does bear repeating that I feel like gets lost in all this. That guy's football team has a game against TCU in like 110 days or something.
That's true.
Like he's coaching at a level he's never coached before, by the way.
Yeah.
And the season's coming up.
And all the players on the team have seen that interview.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, wow, look what he's wearing. That's the other thing. If she's going to be in the room, shouldn't she be like, hey, Bill, do you have any shirts that don't have holes in them?
You just got $10,000 in free North Carolina gear.
Yeah.
You can't put one of those sweatshirts on.
Yeah, it's maybe the best color scheme in all of sports.
Incredible.
And you don't want to wear that?
Nice color scheme.